As a luxury lover, shopping in Paris is a lot of fun, but it's not as if because you go to Paris there is suddenly this magic wand and everything about luxury shopping changes and becomes easier and becomes available and becomes wrapped in rose tinted glasses. That's what I thought whenever I first was going for a shopping trip in Paris. Because it was Paris, it's the home of so many of these luxury brands, I thought that it was going to be effectively shopping in dreamland, probably in somewhere that doesn't exist, and in my mind everything was just going to be seamless and everything was going to be available and it was just going to be like the red carpet was laid out for luxury lovers and everything in your wildest dreams when it comes to shopping would be accommodated, and it's not quite like that. And I think if you're going to go shopping in Paris, it's good to have maybe a more honest and grounded chat about that. If you've watched the vlogs that I put up recently, there's 2 luxury shopping vlogs from Paris and there's a couple of unboxings and a story time about Hermes as well. And they're talking you through shopping as we go on the actual vlog. And there are some things that I do recommend, some things I don't recommend, and some things I think it's good to know before you go. And I just wanted to have a rundown with you about our experiences of shopping in Paris over those 5 days, and also what I do think is recommended and what I don't think is recommended. So let's start with Hermes because I have a full video on that, so I'm not going to go into any great depth about it, about how I was able to be lucky enough to get the blue constants there in the background when we were in Paris. If you want an appointment for Paris, just be aware that they're exceptionally difficult to get. As I said in that video, we all tried the lottery system near enough every day that we were there and could try it, and none of us got an appointment. So I think if you're going to Paris, go, and that if you get an appointment with Hermes for a bag, that's a bonus. It's not what your trip is built around. You're not going to get very upset if you don't get one and you don't have really high hopes about it, because when we were in store shopping for other things or checking if there was any cancellations, there were some people that were clearly very, very, very angry that they didn't get an appointment, and they were expressing that quite bluntly, and they were demanding appointments and demanding bags, and obviously they thought they were coming to Paris and they were going to get an appointment and they were going to get a bag. So if that is something that you really, really want, I think try and not build your hopes up that you're going to get that appointment, because it seems to be few and far between. They did tell us there's over 5,000 requests per day and there's only about 100 appointments, and that's across the 3 stores. We got very lucky this time, but I've been in Paris once or twice a year for the last number of years, and that's the first time that an Hermes bag has come home from store. So that is most of those times, apart from one, there was no luck in Hermes in Paris. And I just think that's something to be aware of if you are going, because I know as any luxury lover and somebody that would love to get an Hermes bag, it's really easy to think, oh, I'm going to Paris and that's where you can get it without the wait list, without the wish list, without the pre-spend. There are bags there, and I don't think it's just as easy as that. I've also had a conversation with somebody who shops in Paris as their local store, and they have a relationship with the SA. They buy all their stuff from Hermes. They don't have to use the lottery system. They get their bags the way anybody would with a pre-spend, and they have told me quite bluntly through their essay and the conversations that they have had that the lottery system is not going to really work most of the time. There's always going to be exceptions, but if you want any of the very popular bags, not everybody's going to get one on that lottery system, and not everybody's going to get the bag of their dreams even if you get an appointment, because there's so many SAs also have to look after their local clients and the people that shop there and have their pre-spend there. So I do think it's a bit of a minefield, and just try and go into that without too much resting on it. Next, for Louis Vuitton, we did have a VIP appointment at Vendôme. We started in the cafe over at the Dream Store. The Dream Store is beside Samaritain, which is at the Pont-Neuf Bridge. It is probably an Uber away from Vendôme or the Champs- Élysées. The store, the LV Dream Store, I love it. It's the gift store. It has all the little bits and pieces, and it has the chocolate store. I love the Louis Vuitton chocolate store. I just think it's so cool. It has the cafe. We were hosted there by Louis Vuitton. We had a lovely lunch. I think as a Louis Vuitton lover, it's lovely to go there. If I wasn't a Louis Vuitton lover, I don't know if the food itself would draw you in. I don't think that's what's going to draw people into it. It's people that want the Louis Vuitton experience. All the dinnerware, everything is Louis Vuitton. It is lovely. They have all the desserts, the chocolates made in the shape of Vivian. It's a lovely experience if you do love Louis Vuitton. So I definitely recommend that store. I love gift shops though. I love the notebooks and the little bits and the pieces and the books and the colours and the Vivians. If you love all of that stuff, it's a really good store to visit. There is normally an exhibit there, but the exhibit at the minute is being refurbished, or it's having some work done, so it's not open at the minute, but normally that's there as well. And that, I think, as a Louis Vuitton lover, is a really good experience, but that is coming from someone that gets excited about stationery and notebooks. If you're not as into that sort of thing, maybe that store is not going to be just as wow for you, but for me personally, I really, really loved it. Then there's a number of Louis Vuitton stores. So there's Louis Vuitton in the Galeries Lafayette, there's Louis Vuitton in Bon Marché, there's Louis Vuitton in Samaritaine. The Samaritaine store I really like. It doesn't have a Chanel boutique, it has Chanel Beauty, but it doesn't have the clothes or the handbags. But it's a quieter store. It was the first department store in Paris, I believe, and then it was closed for a very long time, and then it was bought over and redone and reopened. I think the Samaritaine store is a really nice place to shop. It's calmer than the Galeries Lafayette. It is also a good store to order things into with the Louis Vuitton. They did have some very good selection of exotic pieces. I'm loath to say that because I don't like exotics, but I don't buy them, but if you're somebody that likes exotics, they did have a good collection. They did have some very different pieces, and they have ready to wear as well. So I actually like Samaritaine. I think it's worth a visit. It does have Dior, it has Fendi, it has all of the brands apart from Hermes and apart from Chanel. But it's a nice store to visit, and it's a lovely building, and it's over at the Pont-Neuf Bridge. You can tie that in with the Dream store. It's somewhere I like to go to. Galeries Lafayette is stunning. It's a beautiful building. It has the big dome. It has all the beautiful interiors. It's a beautiful, beautiful building. But as such, it attracts a lot of people. If you want to see that and cope, I don't cope with the crowds in there very well. If you want to see that and enjoy it, I would go very early in the morning because it's very, very busy. It is beautiful. It's stunning. I would definitely recommend going to see it. But just be aware, if you're going during the middle of the day, on a busy day, the crowds are a lot in it. It's very busy. For me, I find it overwhelming. It's not somewhere I particularly enjoy shopping in because it's too busy. But that's personally because I don't love loads and loads of crowds and lots of people. And I find the quieter nature of Samaritaine just that little bit nicer. There's also Bon Marché. I did buy, I think, the Papillon bag from Louis Vuitton in the Bon Marché store. I didn't have the best experience in Chanel in there. That was the store that I was trying on the Chanel jacket. I had actually lifted it up to try it on, and the sales associate just put their hand over my shoulder and lifted the hanger out of my hand and hung it back up. And I just thought, well, I'm not shopping in here. I don't care what you have. I'm not spending my money in here because that's the height of rudeness. But it is a nice store as well. And it's over where the other Hermes store is, where the Sèvres, is that what you call it, store is. So you could tie those two together. But back to Louis Vuitton, the main stores are the Vendôme store. Obviously, that's in all of those department stores as well. And it's also at the airport. But the main stores is the Vendôme store, which is the flagship store. And then the Champs-Élysées store, which I think everybody believes is the flagship store. The Vendôme store for me is a nicer experience because it's quieter. There's a theme to this. I am not great with big crowds. It is quieter store. It's calmer. It has some lovely pieces. But having been in the Champs-Élysées store this time, it had more stock and it had better stock. The Champs-Élysées store is very busy though. There will be a queue right down. We got in this time quite early, so we didn't have to queue. We didn't have to queue, but there generally is a queue right round the corner and down the side of it, a lengthy queue. I'm not standing in that. Again, not great with crowds, so that's not going to work for me. But it did, I think, have better stock than the Vendôme store. We did have a Louis Vuitton VIP appointment. The staff were lovely. They looked after us. They tried. We had pre-sent them things we were interested in to see, and they tried to order them. There was a lot though they couldn't order. August is not the best time for luxury shopping in Paris. A lot of the ateliers are closed. You're also between seasons, so it's not the best time. But there was a lot of things that had been requested for the VIP appointment that meant they couldn't get. So there was a lot of things that we wanted to buy and would have probably spent a lot more on, but we couldn't get because they weren't available. The SA that was looking after us had obviously tried very hard to pull together as much as they possibly could, and we were in the private suite, the apartment inside. It was lovely laid out, there was drinks, there was food, it was a beautiful, beautiful experience, but it just, a lot of the things, certainly I didn't buy anything in Louis Vuitton apart from chocolate. And that's unusual for me. Louis Vuitton is normally one of the places that I will spend the most in, but none of the things that I was interested in actually were available. The one thing that I came close to buying was the black and white Petite Malle. They didn't have this in Vendôme. They did have this in the Champs-Élysées, and they also had this in Galeries Lafayette. It had the black epi leather with the white metal around it. It would have fit into that collection fabulously, but it was €8,000, and I'm trying to be more sensible with my spending. I know it's the height of humour around here, but I'm trying to be a bit more sensible, so I didn't bring it home just with the €8,000 price tag. It was beautiful, but I left it behind, and that normally is one of the places I spend the most money. So they didn't have the best stock range. I think we just fell at a bad time to be there. But beautiful experience, really lovely store, loved the Vendôme store, and we were looked after very, very well. I have to say, with Louis Vuitton, I've been very lucky and generally have very good experiences. So I very much enjoy being in the store. There just wasn't a huge amount to actually purchase. A lot of the sizes they didn't have, or the specific pieces they didn't have, and I think that was across the board. Things people had been ordering in weren't there, but that's going to happen when you come between seasons, and also whenever you get the ateliers closed for a while. Goyard, if you want to shop in Goyard, I didn't shop in Goyard. It's not a brand that I am overly drawn to. There's queues. I know that the handbag tribe, some got very lucky and got in early in the morning with no queue and were able to go in and just get what they wanted and do it quite seamlessly. So I think another tip if you want Goyard is, if you're going to go and queue early, or get there early so you're not having to queue. Certainly anytime I walked past the Goyard store, there's two, they're where the Vendôme store is for Louis Vuitton, there is round the corner, there's a Goyard on each side of the road. Both of them had a queue outside of them each time that we walked past them. I think that was a few times. So it does seem to be a very busy store, and try and get there early if that's where you're looking to go. Then we also were in Cartier, because I am still looking at the Juste Clou and the Love bracelet and weighing those up, and again, they didn't have my sizes in store. Now, they could have ordered them. So if you're looking for anything very specific, I would say with Louis Vuitton, Chanel, try and get appointments. Or if you're looking for something specific, go early in your trip. Because if I had went to Cartier earlier in the trip, they could have ordered the Juste Clou and the Love in the size that I needed. They were able to try it on with other sizes and different metals to get the actual size, and they could have ordered it in if we'd had time. So if there's something very specific you want, go early, and then they'll try and order it for you if you have time left on your trip. Obviously with Hermes, try the lottery system every single night. It's worth a try, and it's worth going in and asking if there's any cancellations, although from what we saw that didn't happen very often. They did say to somebody at one point, come back late in the day and see if there's a cancellation. It didn't work, but maybe it's worth a try. Chanel next. There are a number of Chanels in the city. So there's Chanel Rue Cambon, which is the original store where Gabrielle Chanel was. That's where we had our appointment. There's one right on the corner then, just beside it. There's one over at Avenue Montaigne, I believe. There's also one in Champs-Élysées. They're not in Saint-Maritime, but they're in Galeries Lafayette and Bon Marché as well. And they're also in the airport. So there's a number of the boutiques. Again, with Chanel, if you want to go to Rue Cambon, which is where most people want to go because it's the home of Chanel, if you can, try and have an appointment. We were lucky, I have an essay there, so we did have an appointment who was able to accommodate all of us to go at the same time, because it's another place where there are queues outside of and queued down Rue Cambon waiting to get in. Now, the queues this time weren't as bad as I have seen them on my previous trips to Chanel. I do think there is a downturn in luxury, there is a downturn in the economy, and it's all having a knock-on impact, but there still are queues. So if you can get an appointment, it obviously does make it a little bit easier to shop. And if you do have an appointment, you can let them know in advance the things that you're looking for. Our appointment, again, staff were fabulous, looked after us very well. They didn't have a lot of the things that people were looking for. Although I think with Chanel, I don't think so much that we were looking for specific things. I think we were just looking for something to grab us, something special, something fun, something that was just different. And with Chanel's prices as they are, it's going to have to be something very, very fabulous to now pay the price for a Chanel bag or a Chanel piece. There was a navy blue mini trendy. I love the mini trendy. That is a bag that I would like to add. There was a navy blue one, which I did come close to consider buying. Navy blue wouldn't normally be my colour, but it had the gold hardware on it. It was a stunning, stunning, beautiful bag, and it would go well with it. It went well with what I was wearing on the day. The colour I just wasn't in love with enough to buy at the price, but it was very beautiful. And if you can get an appointment, they will also then be more likely to accommodate you for a photograph on the staircase or in front of the staircase, which takes you up to the apartment, which if you are a Chanel lover, it's just something, it's one of those things to do, isn't it? I loved it, we all loved it, and it's something that just marks a trip for you. And to a non-luxury lover and a non-Chanel lover, that will sound ridiculous. But if you are into the brand, it's just lovely, and I think if you have an appointment, you're more likely to be able to get that photographed. Gucci, we were in the store on St Honore. We were also in the store over, which is the flagship store on Avenue Montaigne. Great service in both. I really enjoyed Gucci. I loved the clothing. I thought they had great ready to wear, and I did bring home shorts from there and sunglasses, and both stores I thought were very good. They didn't have huge sizes for Bestie. He was with me. He was trying to get things in there, and we ended up getting one of the things he wanted in Galeria Lafayette, but the sizing, they just didn't have a huge amount of sizing. But again, the time of the year isn't the best. But both of those stores were great. Avenue Montaigne is lovely to shop in. So if you're looking at Dior or Gucci or Chanel or any of those stores and you want to go to somewhere that just that little bit calmer, so you have the Champs-Élysées, and then at the bottom of it, you turn, if you're walking down the Champs-Élysées towards the city centre away from the Arc de Triomphe, you turn right up Avenue Montaigne, and it has a number of the stores there, and they're lovely buildings, beautiful buildings inside, really nice places to go. The Dior flagship is there, the Dior cafe is on up in Avenue Montaigne. It's a beautiful experience as well. I definitely recommend, if you can, getting an appointment or a lunch booked at the Dior cafe. It's lovely, and that store is lovely. It's just a very nice place to visit, and it has so much to see, so many beautiful pieces on display. It's a very, very beautiful store. I prefer the Dior on Avenue Montaigne rather than on Honore. I just think it's a beautiful experience, and I would definitely recommend going over there. Fendi we were in as well, great service. I got the mini baguette, if I could find the words, in the emerald green there. It was in the Honore store. We had called in. I always have great service in there. I think it's a very lovely store to go, and I asked, it wasn't on display. They didn't have either of the bags that I was very tempted to buy on display, but I always ask in Fendi, do you have anything fun out the back? And he came out with that one. He had the one with the pink discs that I thought was stunning and very, very keen to bring home, but can't bring everything home, Amelia. You know, big corner over there, not unboxed yet. Shh. Anyway, so he did have things out the back, and he brought them out, and it's a nice store to shop in as well. So I do really like the Fendi store, and I think it's worth asking if they have anything out the back in any of the stores. I always ask if there's any special bags that are not on display, or any of the old season bags, just to see, especially in Chanel as well, because they will have things that maybe just aren't out on display, but it's an older piece that you maybe been looking for. So it is worth asking in any of those stores, and it is worth asking in Hermes, but you know, don't hold your breath, but we can all try. Great thing shopping in Paris is the stores will deliver back to the hotel. So if you're buying bags or anything while you're shopping, the luxury stores will deliver them to your hotel, so you're not having to carry your shopping bags about with you while you go on for shopping. That's great for not having to carry them, but it's also great for security when you're walking about with these big shopping bags that are quite literally advertisements, and just keeps it a bit safer when you're doing your shopping. So that's one of the things I love, one of the many things I love about shopping in Paris. Personally, I love shopping in Paris. I love Paris though. I just love the city. I love the sights. I love being in the city. I love just being out for a walk at night, and you're walking and there's the tower, and there's the gardens, and there's the Arc de Triomphe, and there's the Louvre, and it's just, I just love the city. So shopping for me in Paris will always be very, very special. I'm very fortunate to go to Paris quite regularly. it's a very short flight from here. I flew from Dublin this year and it was an hour and a half there and back. Obviously there's the travel to get there and everything, but it's just a city that I love to be in. So for me, shopping in Paris will always be special, because for me, being in the city is special. I just love the city. And I had a great time there with the handbag tribe. Bestie was over for the first 3 nights. We had a great night out at Crazy Horse, which was just so much fun. We had great dinners. We had each other's company. It just makes it. And when you add in the pieces that you're buying there and the shopping there, it just makes it a very special experience. So for me, I always love it. But I just wanted to say, realistically, it's not as if you go into these stores and everything is there. It's not as if everything's available. The latest trends are available. The latest bags are available. Everything that you want, all the sizes. It just doesn't work like that. You have to also think how many people are shopping in Paris. So how many people's buying up their stock. And there isn't a huge amount of stock. And even things like that you would think are pretty staples like these in Hermes couldn't get in my size, or certain bags that you would think would be in all the stores just aren't. But you'll see how busy they are and how many people are buying up these pieces. So it's just, I think, good to have that in mind, because I know the first time I went, I thought it was going to be like shopping euphoria. It was going to be the dreamland for shoppers, and had to learn that just doesn't work quite like that. It still is real life, Amelia. That fantasy land of yours is very well visited, but yeah, I love it. And if you are going, have a fabulous time. And hopefully this has given you some tips about where to go, where I think is good to go, the appointments and things like that, which might just make it that little bit better for you, and a little bit of insight into our experience while we were in Paris. Thank you so much for watching this. If you've enjoyed this chit chat in any way, please do consider giving it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please do consider subscribing. And if you're not done with me yet, I'm going to leave another video for you on the screen to enjoy. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching me. Please take care, and I will see you again in the next one.